Whoopsie. Ah, hello guys. I'm Charlie Lambda. I'm the founder of Best Agent. And in this video, I would like to offer the benefit of the wisdom that I have encountered and experienced and gathered in my 20-something years working alongside agents of all kinds, especially given the current market circumstances. Now, I'm aware that a lot of agents are very unhappy about things I've been saying on the Moving Home with Charlie channel, calling the market downturn. Some of you have been kind enough to send me messages supporting me and say that actually you listen to what I'm saying and it's helpful. So this is a video for any agent who is worried about your pipeline. Oh, is it breaking up? Oh, sorry, guys. If any of you can send me a chat, let me know if you can still hear me or not. Great. I'm here to talk about protecting your pipeline, okay? Because whether or not you've read it in the media, whether or not you've heard about it, there are a lot of agents whose pipelines, if they haven't already started unraveling, they are definitely going to in the coming weeks. Some, not all agents. There are some agents out there who prepared early for this, who managed client expectations early for this, and who there are still exchanges happening and there are still moves happening. And this video is not about forecasting the market conditions. It's about how to react if you want to be prepared for the worst. If you don't think anything bad is coming and you want to be prepared for the worst, save yourself the time. Don't watch this video. If you're worried by events, perhaps used by them, maybe they caught you by surprise. Sorry guys, I'm gonna just see if I can switch all the other devices that are using up my bandwidth. I've got a backup bandwidth if I need it here. So let me get into it. And the reason I'm doing this video is that I think we are at the beginning, and this was triggered into a much worse scenario by the mini budget. And the reason that we are here is because of the mini budget. It's made it happen much faster than I predicted, but we are now looking at a 3 to 6 month, potentially, I think it's at least 3 months, potentially a 6-month hiatus in the mainstream property market. The mainstream property market. I'm talking about where the large majority of transactions happen. I'm talking about the sub 500,000 level, definitely. I mean, it's also affecting above as well, but it's the first time buyer market is the one that's most badly affected. And let me give you a bit of background, right? So for agents who don't know me or wonder how the hell do I know what I'm talking about? Do I know what I'm talking about? I did 3 years in the city, so I've got a sort of very good base knowledge, understanding of global and national financial economics and money markets and how they work. And I've spent the last 20 years with estate clients, mostly on the CRM side, but also on the marketing side and also on the consulting side. And I've helped a lot of those clients actually run their businesses. So I have been involved directly in helping agents managing and running their businesses. And what I learned more than anything else is that your pipeline, which is where almost all of your money comes from, it should be the root of all your decision making. And I'll go into that today because the objective of this video is how to do damage limitation on your pipeline, how to protect your pipeline, because your pipeline is your future income, as you know. And if the pipeline unravels, then worst case scenario, it's a threat to your business. Medium case scenario, it is going to significantly hit your income and you may survive it, but it's going to damage your business. It's that there are agents who are going to go out of business, because what I'm telling you now with absolute certainty is that we are at the beginning of the end of this era of estate agency. And I'm talking about the last 20 years or so, right? And it's not been a good era, has it? it's not, I mean, for some agents, yes, but for the industry as a whole, I don't think it's been a great era. Okay. It certainly has been a increasingly difficult era for movers for a number of reasons. And what we are witnessing, guys, is the very early stages of the end of that era of estate agency. And the good news is that on the horizon is the dawn of a completely new era of estate agency, and it's never going to be the same again. Okay. And the underlying feel of this talk is helping agents who are worried about surviving make sure they survive this hiatus in the market, which I'll explain why it's been caused in a minute. And it's a factual thing. It's not even opinion. Okay, guys, I'll give you the hard facts you can check for yourself as to why there's going to be a hiatus in the first time buyer market. How you can prepare for it, survive it, and then be set up to be one of the strongest agents in the long run, and to be trading off an amazing reputation as an agent that helped your clients through a really difficult time. Okay. So we are at the beginning of a 3 to 6 month hiatus. How long it lasts depends on the political outcomes of this week, how the money markets react to the OBR report when that's published later this month. And until those things have happened, nobody knows what's going to happen to interest rates, and therefore what's going to happen to the property market. Okay. Now, let me explain why I'm calling it a 3 to 6 month hiatus. And if anyone wants to challenge any of these assumptions, put it in the comments or send me a private message, and I will give you links to the places that you can go to verify what I'm saying. This is not my opinion, guys. This is not me prognosticating an opinion of what I think is going to happen. This is me reporting the facts of what's happening and interpreting the mathematical certainties from it. Okay. So, two things have happened. You can check it in the media, right? In the mortgage market, two things have happened. Number one, as you all know, interest rates have shot up. That has a direct impact on first-time buyer affordability. Okay. Two, the number of products available has dropped by 60% in the last 2 weeks and continues to fall. And while there are some new products coming back on the market, they're very highly priced. And I think that's also mortgage companies just wanting to keep their future pipeline going. Okay. So when you reduce the affordability or increase the cost of mortgages, and you reduce the availability of mortgages, what you're effectively doing is you're almost turning off the tap of first-time buyer funding. So leaving aside cash first-time buyers, I'm talking about ones that rely on a large mortgage. Those guys, even if they wanted to proceed now, they can't. They're having a mortgage in principles pulled, and even some confirmed mortgage offers are being pulled. Okay, which is very unusual. But the banks have the right to do it using what's called a material difference, and the material difference is whatever they think it is. Right? You can't hold a gun to their head and make them transfer the mortgage funds into the conveyancer's account if they don't want to. And if they consider that material differences have changed, and one of them is the uncertainty in the mortgage market, that can be enough for it to happen. Okay, so with the best will in the world, even if first-time buyers wanted to be proceeding, which a lot of them now don't, okay, that's a third impact, the first-time buyer market cannot proceed as normal until the mortgage market resumes in its new normal phase. It cannot proceed. All right? It cannot proceed. So if you are in denial of that fact, and it's just because it's your opinion that everything's going to be okay, I can't help you. If you're not prepared to reason with the actual factual events that are happening and look at them and see how they affect your business, I can't help you. But if you're a rational thinking, forward thinking, and clear-minded agent who goes, I would like to hear about all the potential risks and threats to my business, then this is what I'm explaining to you. Okay, so 3 to 6 month hiatus, a 3 to 6 month massive reduction in the flow of deals into your pipeline. Right. Now, for those of you wondering, so I'm just going to recap, you may not all know this. I first called that the property market was likely to see falls this year. I didn't say it was going to, I said it was likely to, in February, in a video that is on the homepage of my Moving Home with Charlie YouTube channel. I just said, I've seen some data and it looks to me like the chances of house price falls this year have increased and at the highest that they've been for quite a long time. And I said, back in February, I said, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, I'm saying the chances are very high. Then on May the 19th on this channel, I did a video where I said, right, I'm sounding the alarm bell, there's going to be house price falls. And I was laughed at and ignored. And I didn't understand why, because it wasn't an opinion. It wasn't me going, oh, I'm just going to make some speculation and have a laugh and try and sound important making predictions. I was like, I can see it's going to happen. Now, where do I see that data? Best Agent, right, has the whole of market data for sales and lettings on it. And although we haven't started publishing that, because we've got all properties for sale and to let on the bestagent.co.uk site, the way we gather that data is by spidering, and we just go out there and look for any property available anywhere we can find it. And the problem is there is a huge amount of crap, fake listings, out of date listings, like totally fabricated fake listings, duplicated listings, and stale stuff. And so it makes it very, very difficult to process that data set into what's actually available to buy or to rent for home movers out there. And we're still refining that. But what we can see, even though we haven't finished refining it yet, is we can see the major trends. And that's what I saw back in February. The reason for my February video was I could see a definite uptick in the number of properties coming onto the market for sale and staying there longer. And the number of fall throughs happening just started to increase. Not massively, but it just started to increase. And I saw a definite change in the trend back in February. And what happened in May was to do with the money markets. And I put the two together, like, right, okay, this is a mathematical certainty, it's going to happen, okay? And for those of you saying, yeah, but what about the house price reports? Don't forget the 6-month time lag on those, right? We will never know what's actually happening because what the land registry publishes is for deals that were agreed 6 to 9 months ago by the time they've got around to reporting it. So there is no transparency. And if you take one estate agent's word for it, well, that's just one area. It's one part of the market. And yeah, there are some areas that are still going great guns. They've got well-funded buyers who are queuing up to buy rare period properties. And those are still going for offers over asking price, possibly, right? Although they're disappearing fast. So my predictions are not just my opinion, okay? They are reactions to data and facts that I see not only in the property market, where I get the data from Best Agent, but also in the money markets. And it's not just what I see publicly in the money markets. Because of my 3 years in the city, way back 30 years ago, my friends who I made then, who are still there now, are running banks, right? They're senior guys in major positions in investment banks and even high street banks. And I see them and I talk to them on a regular basis. And so I hear firsthand what's happening inside those banks, which for example, is how I'm able to say that there's very little concern about bank failure this time around. Unlike 2008, when Northern Rock failed, I recently had a conversation with someone who's very senior at a very famous bank saying that there's almost no risk of that this time around. There's much, much better capitalization and much better preparation to withstand that sort of shock again. Okay, so if I was just a doom monger, I'd be saying, "Oh, there are going to be banks failing," but I haven't said that because there aren't going to be, because I have the information. Okay, so I'm saying all this because I'd like you to just have a bit of faith and trust in me. I'm still waiting for anyone to tell me about something that I've said that hasn't turned out to be the case. Okay, and I'm not saying "told you so." I'm saying I wouldn't risk my own reputation predicting any of this stuff if I didn't have very good reasons to believe it. Anyway. You're not here to listen to me talk about myself. You're here to find out what you can do to protect your pipeline. Right. I'd like to begin this with a story. And this is when I very first started to understand that the pipeline is the essence of your business, right? And nurturing and managing that pipeline is the essence of your business. And I learned this. I'll tell you the story. I was with a client. This is an owner-managed business. They had 3 branches. They were doing well. They weren't yet number one, but actually by the time I finished working with them, they had become the number one agent in their area for market share, but also, more importantly, the number one agent for instructed to sold ratio. They had the lowest fall through rate of any agent I ever worked with, okay? The lowest pipeline fall through of any agent, and I've worked with hundreds of agents over the years, the lowest I've ever seen, okay? And for the period we looked at, which was a 12-month period, it was 92% success rate, instructed to sold, 92%. And that is almost unheard of. And it was consistent. And when I saw this data, I remember talking to the owner and saying, I've never seen, I'm a CRM provider. I can see the instructed to sold ratios of all the estate agents using the CRM system. And I'm telling you, you are off the scale, you're off the charts with that. That's amazing. And this is what I learned from him. He said, I mean, he was a very, very good agent to his clients anyway, but he said, this is selfish reasons. He said, why on earth would I want to be putting deals together that aren't going to hold together? Why would I do that? He said, it's wasting my time, it's wasting my client's time, it's wasting my money, it's wasting buyer's time. It's just pointless. And in his mind, it was just stupid to ever allow a deal to be agreed that he wasn't as certain as possible would actually complete. Because he just saw any deals that wouldn't complete as a complete waste of his time and his money, and he wasn't prepared to do it. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And then I said, okay, so how do you achieve that then? How do you achieve this extraordinary pipeline success ratio? And I remember sitting in one of his weekly meetings with his team, and they would go through all the deals and everything else and all the offers. And one of the things that he would do is he would vet all offers and be advising his negotiators on which offers to take to clients and which ones to advise them to ignore. And it was all the questions he asked were always qualifying the buyers right down to the very last detail to find out whether or not there were signs of them being flaky, changing their mind, not being ready, etc., etc. I mean, they would not even, in a good market, they would not even allow applicants to view a property if their house wasn't under offer. You just say, I'm sorry, no, you don't get to view it. It's just a waste of your time, waste of my time. You know, we're not going to accept an offer from someone whose house isn't under offer in this current market. So it's extraordinary. You know, other agents were just wanting to do as many viewings as they could. More viewings equals more offers equals more deals, which broadly speaking is correct. But this guy took a really much more ruthless approach to his pipeline. It's like, no. I don't want offers. I don't even waste time showing properties to applicants that we aren't certain are proceedable as possible. And he also wouldn't take on properties where the vendors were unrealistic. He would sit there and he'd say, I'll tell you a funny story about this guy at the end. He'd sit there with a client and just say, look, I'm sorry, unless you're prepared to be realistic on price. And by the way, I sell more property in this area than anyone else. So I know here are my actual results and comparables of what property sell for what price. I'm not going to waste my time and money listing your property. Okay. If you want to get that price, go with one of the other agents. Good luck. If it doesn't work out, come back to me. But when you come back to me, my fee will be higher than if you instruct me now. And he was that confident about it because he had the results to back it up. So he wouldn't list stuff he didn't know he could sell. He just wouldn't do it. It's like, it's a waste of my time, waste of my staff's time, makes me look bad, not interested. And he perhaps wasn't that blunt about it to the clients, but underlying it was that was his attitude. So I'm not going to waste my time or my staff time trying to sell a property that you aren't being realistic enough about to sell. So this was like, I mean, this is going back a long time. This was about 15 years ago when I had this realization. Anyway, so his pipeline was one of the best I ever saw, and I worked with him because his business was busy and successful. And I worked with him as a consultant on how to improve his business through the use of the CRM system. We came up with this sequence of events about how staff should prioritize their day, which resulted in their pipeline improving even further. And that's what I'm going to base this advice on in this video, okay? So I tell you that story just to try and bring a bit of credibility to the advice I'm about to offer you, okay? And don't take my advice, but just listen to it and process it. And you know, if you feel it applies to you, then use it, okay? Now, the number one thing, so going into this hiatus period when your pipeline is effectively going to, at best, slow down, get clogged up, a bit constipated, and at worst, actually start to fall apart a bit. The only thing that you can control in the coming months, and listen to this really carefully, right? The only thing you can control in the coming months is your time and how you use it. I will say it again. The only thing you can control in the coming months is your time and how you use it. All right? And that is what you've got to do, because everything else right now is outside your control. Okay, you can influence other stuff, but you can't control it. So you must control your time. Now, I see a lot of agents who are very good agents that they don't control their time. And what happens is they end up running around responding to everyone else's requests. You've got to just not do that now. If you want to survive this, get through it, boost your pipeline, and come out the other side looking really strong. You number one is control your time. You cannot allow interruptions. And if you've got no one else to answer the phone for you, then that's the very first thing I would do, is get someone else to answer the phone for you. Okay, unless you know it's a call from someone you want to hear from, like a client, just get someone else to answer your phone for you. Okay, so step number one, I've got 5 steps for you here to get through this crisis, to protect your pipeline as best as possible and be best positioned to come out the other side for the new dawn of estate agency, which I think is going to start sometime next year. Okay. Number one. So if I was the owner and the manager of an estate agent, this is what I'd be telling my team to do. Number one, call every client in your pipeline that currently has an agreed offer. Do not wait for them to call you, because they won't, because they're going to be scared about it. If they're backing out in their mind, they're not going to do the first thing I'm going to do is call my agent. They're going to think about it for days, right? You need to call every single client that's agreed in your pipeline before they call you, and just talk to them. Let them talk. Let them just allow them to, because some you won't save, some you will save, and how many you do save will be influenced by how well you manage them in this scenario. But do not make the mistake I'm already seeing so many agents are making, of trying to talk them out of backing out. The moment you do that, you just become another agent that's just saying what's in their own interest, in their own pipeline, and trust evaporates. Just today, I've had people sending me screenshots of emails that they've had from their estate agent, basically saying, here are all the reasons that you mustn't back out of your deal. And they've just said, I actually thought I could trust this agent. Now I don't. Now I know that they're only interested in saving themselves and they don't care about me as a client. So don't make the mistake of trying to talk people into staying in a deal. The purpose of calling your clients now is to find out the reality of what your pipeline looks like once the deals are going to have gone. Okay? Don't piss into the wind trying to save deals that you're not going to save, and in doing so damage your reputation. Okay? Call your clients. Ask them how they're feeling. Are they confident in proceeding? Acknowledge the very worrying news that's out there. Don't start doing what other agents are doing, which is trying to discredit the mainstream media and say that they're wrong. Because unless you back it up with why they're wrong, not just, oh, COVID, Brexit, those predictors are wrong, so these ones are wrong, which I've seen twice already, which is, I'm sorry, there's no other word to describe it. It's just stupid. Okay? Unless you can back up your discrediting of mainstream media, you look desperate, foolish, and dishonest. And it's a mistake to do it. You've got to call up your clients, understand the fact, maybe the buyers more than the sellers, of course. But again, some of your sellers are also buying somewhere else, and they might be pulling out of that purchase, and therefore pulling out of their sale. But my point number one is find out the brutal reality of what's happening to the deals in your pipeline. Just find out. Do not try and save it by persuading people who aren't sure about whether they want to move. Just don't do it. Whilst that might make you an extra fee now, it's not going to help you in the long run. Okay? Hi, I'm calling up to check you're still happy about moving, because clearly there's a lot of stuff going on in the media that's worrying a lot of people. And I'd just like to be a step ahead of what's happening. So, are you still planning to buy the place that you're buying, so that you're selling this house you're selling through us to the buyer that we've got? I just want to find out. Yeah? Or maybe you want to call the buyer first. You'll know who to call in each instance, but call them up. And be someone that at the end of that call after that call, they feel not put under pressure. They feel reassured, like I'm in safe hands. They're there for me. I'm the client and they're there for me. And remember, if it's a buyer and you try and bully them into staying in a deal that they didn't want to stay in, then when they do buy, they're never going to sell through you, right? So that's number one. Manage your pipeline by calling them all up to find out who's staying and who's not, so that you know where you stand, okay? And this will lead into point number two. These points all lead into each other. But first of all, you need to know where you stand with your clients. That's number one. You need to know where you stand with your current deals. You need to know whether your pipeline is going to collapse 20%, 50%, 80%, or even 100%. You just need to know that. And if you don't know that, any decisions you make from here on in are guesswork. Okay? Find out where you stand with your pipeline is number one. Right. Number two. And I will afterwards post a link to an article from a retired agent who's been through this before that backs up this advice, right? And this goes back to being in control of your time. Disinstruct unrealistic sellers. Now, to some of you who spent the last 10 years sweating every ounce of energy you've got trying to win and keep instructions, you're going to be like, sorry, Charlie, what did you just say? Disinstruct sellers? Yeah. If they are not committed sellers who actually A, want to sell, and B, can sell at the new market price, they are a liability to you. They make you look bad. They'll waste your time. They will take out their stress on you when they're being unrealistic about it. So number two, disinstruct your unrealistic sellers. I'm very sorry, I can't act for you unless you're prepared to be realistic on your price. Okay? That's number two. And what you'll probably find is that message will jolt some of them into dropping their price to where they need to get it sold. So disinstructing your unrealistic sellers may well result in some deals you otherwise weren't going to get. Okay? It's a good thing to do in the current market. Number three, this is an obvious one, but reprice your unsold stock. Now, how much do you need to do that? Okay, this may come as a shock to some of you, but on average, and this is generalized, so of course it's different in every single property situation, but roughly speaking, on average, there are two aspects to how much you need to reprice your properties by, okay? On average, generally. Number one, you've got to reprice it to reflect the fact that the overall vibe and direction and momentum of the market has been a seller's market going up, right? It is now a buyer's market and it's going down. It just is going down. Sorry, anyone, I'm just still waiting for someone to give me an evidence that it's not going down. Okay, and so immediately the asking prices that are out there need to come down 10% just to reflect the change in the sellers to buyers market. And that's before you factor in actual price drops. This is if you actually want to sell. This is for stock to actually sell. I would then drop it another 10% at least to price it to sell. At least. So total, I'm talking about 20% price reductions if your sellers are realistic. And if they're not, and if they can't do that, that's cool. You need to know. They need to take their property off the market, right? If you're not prepared to drop your price to a price that I know I can get you buyers at, you need to leave me and go and waste some other agent's time. Obviously, you don't say that, but that's that's the message. Like, I'm sorry, I haven't got time to market your property when prices are falling, and you won't be realistic on your price. And if they turn around and say to you, "But you told me this and you told me that," well, you're gonna have to have that awkward conversation, aren't you? But you can also say to them that the mini budget. This is true. The mini budget changed everything. And if you need an excuse to justify why you're getting a steep price drop now, you do have the government to blame, Kwasi Kwarteng's budget to blame, right, for what's happened in the mortgage market and why mortgage affordability has just evaporated and why first-time buyers have run for the hills. Okay, you've got that excuse, right? But I'm telling you, if you aren't dropping your prices 20%, you're not going to be selling stuff as easily. On average, there are exceptions. So that's point number three. So number one, manage your pipeline, call them all up. Number two, disinstruct unrealistic sellers. Number three, reprice your unsold stock. And I am saying 20%. You might get offers over at 20%. Cool, you'll sell it, right? But that's what I'm saying. Number four, Buyers. So you need to, once you've done numbers 1, 2, and 3, okay, the next thing I'd be doing is I'd be ringing all of my registered applicants, the ones that I know are serious ones, have been viewing with me, etc. I'd be ringing them all, and I'd be qualifying them hard. Why? Because I don't want to waste my time on buyers that aren't serious now, that have been spooked by the market. I don't want to be talking people into buying and saying, don't worry, it's going to be fine. You can buy it, go ahead. Don't do that. You will damage your long-term reputation if you say that at the beginning of a house price crash, right? They're just not going to come back to you, right? These guys are watching the news. They're hearing it. They're seeing what's happening out there. And if you just keep on trying to tell them that everything's okay, you're going to come across as out of touch and not to be trusted and less than intelligent. Let's put it kindly that way, right? So you ring your buyers and you find out, and you qualify them hard. You qualify your buyers hard, because what you're looking for now are your cash buyers who still want to buy, and your first-time buyers who still do have a mortgage, maybe because their deposit is higher and they still want to buy because they're still out there. I've got followers on my Moving Home with Charlie channel. They are still out there, those buyers, and they still want to move. There are people who still need to move. And please, don't ever use that as a reason why the house market's going to keep going up. Well, people always need to move. 4 Ds, death, debt, divorce, and whatever the other one is. Discretion, that's right. Yes, but the number of them is going to drop, okay? Overall, that is not a reasoned scientific argument why house prices are still going to go up. So stop saying that, because again, you don't sound clever when you say it. Qualify your buyers hard, and when you have qualified them and you know that they're good, look after them like they're your new best friend, right? Red carpet for proceedable buyers. Call them often, okay? Because proceedable buyers are going to be harder to find than instructions have been, okay? You're going to have instructions coming in your ears at some point. Maybe not straight away. There's going to be a hiatus when everyone just sits on their hands. But proceedable buyers are your best friend in a downturn, and you should be meeting them for coffee, and you should be calling them and seeing what you can do to help, and you should be treating them like you would treat a potential client, only even more so. You really need, only when you've qualified them, do not waste your time giving red carpet treatment to buyers who are umming and ahhing. Of course, you want to register those guys, you want to have them on your books, and you want to send them stuff, okay? But you want to be showing the buyers when they're a proceedable buyer and you get a good instruction that comes on, or a price that drops to a sensible level, you want those buyers first, okay? And the agents who take the best care of their buyers in the coming months are the ones who are going to be doing the best throughout this downturn, okay? So that's number 4. And that's the end of the 4 steps of what I'd be doing on my pipeline. Because, of course, when you're calling through all of your buyers on number 4, you'll be able to talk to them about the clients who've agreed to price drops before you've actually published the price drop. You'll be able to say, I've got a client, they've just dropped their price 20%. Do you want to make an offer? You will, if you follow these steps, you will tie up some deals you never thought were coming. Right? I promise you. If you follow these steps, if you've got enough stock and buyers at the moment, and you do what I'm saying, that's what I'd be doing. Okay, so one more time, the 4 steps. Ring around every deal in your pipeline to check whether they're staying or going, and find out if they're going, and don't stop them if they are. Number 2, disinstruct unrealistic sellers. Number 3, reduce your unsold stock price. Now, maybe don't advertise those price drops until you've done number 4, which is ring through your buyers, qualify the hell out of them, maybe tie up some deals in those phone calls, who knows? Nice proceedable cash buyers that aren't going to have a mortgage pulled. And then number 5, when you've completed those 4 steps, you have now completed what I'd call the sort of disaster recovery, the crisis management steps that have put you into a better state. You're going to know where you stand. You're going to have got rid of your time-wasting clients. You're going to know who your buyers are, and you're going to have stock that's priced to sell, right? And the agents who do that soonest are the agents who are going to survive the best through this crisis. Now, this is to get you through the 3 to 6 month crisis, okay? That's step number 1. So number 1, you're focusing on your pipeline first and foremost, right? So those 4 steps are the pipeline management. Now, my last point on this, right, which is number 5, but it's not to do with your pipeline, is this. If I was running a business, an estate agency business now, and I've completed my pipeline management that I've just described to you, and I'd be thinking, right, now, what next to get me through this nightmare downturn? Now, some of you have got very strong lettings books and you're financially really well insulated and you can ride out this downturn no problem and you're going to be okay, because there's less uncertainty in the rentals market at the moment, okay? But others of you whose businesses are more reliant on your sales business than your lettings business are going to be looking at overheads and going, my pipeline collapses. There's no chance, okay? I know there are agents already afraid for their jobs, and there are going to be large scale job losses in estate agency. I'll tell you a story, a Foxton story from what happened in the 90s when there was a bit of a downturn. This was in the it was in the 90s down. I had this firsthand from my best mate who worked at Foxton. He was one of the most successful managers at the time. And they had their Park Lane office and they had all the staff in there. I can't remember how many there were. It was a lot. I think at the time it was like 90 or 100 staff. I mean, it's many more than that now, but back in those days, it was about 90 staff they had. And the owner of the company walked into the meeting. There's one big group of people. He walked into the middle, put his hand in the middle and said, right, all of you guys, you're out. You're redundant. You're fired. Goodbye. And he just chopped his headcount in half like that. Okay. Now, this is not something I'm recommending that you do. That was a brutal way to treat his staff. I don't condone it at all. But the metaphor is good from a business point of view, which is he cut deep, hard, and fast to protect his business. Okay, that's what he did. And then Foxtons obviously went on after that to just keep on growing forever. So I would be looking at cutting all of my overheads wherever I could, hard and fast. My staff would be the last thing I would cut, right? Because as long as you've deployed them intelligently, your staff will make you money through this crisis if you can afford them. It's the other stuff I'd be getting rid of. I know your staff are probably your biggest overhead, but it's all of the. I mean, we'll come on to the comment about how shouldn't you keep on marketing in a downturn? Yes, of course, but I'm saying that throughout this hiatus, nobody knows what the new normal is going to look like yet. And throughout this hiatus, normal marketing will become pointless, right? It's just become pointless. And I'll be going through all of the lead gen stuff and all the subscriptions I'm paying and all of them, every single one. And I'd be saying, is that essential to my existence in the next 3 to 6 months? I'm not saying you wouldn't go back later. You might just suspend it. You might call up whoever it is and go, right, I'm suspending my membership with you for 3 months or 6 months or until further notice. I'll be coming back when things are better. Okay? But that's what I'd be doing. And I'd be doing it soon, fast and hard, because everything that you're relying on at the moment for business, it's all going to change. It's all going to change. It's all going to change. And you're going to need to, at some point, you're going to need to completely reconsider your basket of prop tech and lead gen stuff that you're using for whatever the new reality becomes, whenever that happens. All right. So that's what I'd be doing. I'd be cutting my costs to the bone, but my staff would be the last thing that I would cut if I absolutely had to. All right. Because what you want to do is get busy, get your staff busy doing what I told you about the pipeline management, disinstructive stuff, the outbound calling. Get on the phone. Stop relying on emails and WhatsApp and stuff and talk to people, because when your clients are frightened, talking to someone feels good. Just the fact you call them and say, look, how are you feeling? And let them just get it off their chest. They're going to love you for it. This is back to basics estate agency. Talk to your customers, talk to your clients, nurture your buyers, red carpet treatment for the gold buyers. I hate the word nurture, but you know what I mean. All right, guys. 40 minutes I've been talking. I'm going to wrap this up. Let's see if we've got any questions. I have got questions. Yeah, nothing worth asking. Let me wrap it up. Number one, manage your pipeline by calling through the deals to find out which ones are gone. And find out, don't wait for them to tell you, ring them up and ask them, is the deal holding together? Number two, disinstruct your unrealistic sellers, sorry. Don't disinstruct your realistic sellers. That would be a terrible mistake. Disinstruct your unrealistic sellers. Number three, reprice your unsold stock at prices that are going to attract buyers. Number four, Call all your applicants, qualify them hard. And if you're talking to clients and buyers regularly, your deals are going to just happen, okay? And then number 5, cut your costs to the bone, but make sure that if that includes any staff, that's last, because your staff are the people who will get you through and out of this faster than anything if you task them correctly and intelligently. Ladies and gentlemen of the UK estate agency industry, if you have watched this video to the end, I thank you. Please follow me on the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because this is where I just do content for estate agents. Best Agent, if you haven't joined it yet, go and join it. It's free to join. It is where I've built a better future for good estate agents and movers to find each other. It's free to join, and it's where there are going to be better leads and easy ways to connect. I'll talk more about that soon. Follow me on Twitter at Best Agent Boss, where I'll be continuing to dish out whatever estate agency valuable advice I can give. And if you're worried and you'd like any help, private message me anywhere you can find me. I'm on LinkedIn, Charlie Lambden, you'll find me there. Please send me your messages. If I can help, I'll be more than happy to help. But my very last piece of advice, which I included in the video about 5 ways to prepare for a downturn, which go and watch if you haven't watched that. It's on my channel, Preparing for a Downturn. Go and find a local agent who's really experienced, who's been through downturns before, and ask them for help and advice. Okay, because if they've been through downturns before and they're successful, they're going to help you if you're a young agent. You might be a competitor, but they'd be a real dick to turn you away if you just came to them and said, "Look, I'm looking for some mentorship here in the local marketplace." And if they're the kind of person that doesn't want to help you, then you don't want them as a mentor anyway. But I'm pretty sure that you will find a couple of magnanimous, at least one magnanimous agent who's been through this stuff and who will guide you through it and help you out. And if that's the only thing you do today, do that. Go and find that agent that might be able to help you out, that local agent. Okay? Thank you, guys. Genuinely scary times. Don't panic. Control your time. Really mean that. Control your time, and you will get through this. And if I can help, let me know. You are rock stars, all of you. You change people's lives, and you do not have a bigger fan than me. Okay, I may say harsh things about estate agents in the public press, but it doesn't mean I don't love you guys, because there are a lot of agents who do really crap stuff, and I will always call that out. But what you do changes people's lives and is massively important, and I will always promote great estate agency. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, guys.